And welcome back to JKLive Live. What a lively discussion here with House Minority Whip, who also happens to be co-chair BBI Secretariat, and Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed. It's been a minute since he's been here. Kikuyu Member of Parliament Kimani Ichung'wah also in the house. Gentlemen, oh yeah, before the break, you mentioned that the...
the de facto.
The de facto.
The de facto BBI campaign leader is they're calling it the Jogo Party. And that is the ego management crisis that you find ODM being in now. Because we really can't believe it, that it's come to that. That's why you had the statements over the weekend on people somewhere trying to use BBI to manage the succession politics. But apart from that, there's something Junet said about the county assemblies that I wanted to discount, because, you know, he makes it look like we were out there campaigning against BBI with the county assemblies. First, we have never engaged with members of the county assemblies on BBI. Not the deputy president, not any of us, even myself in my own constituency. I have never engaged with my MCAs telling them how and where to vote. But you saw what happened when I have just told you what was happening in the county assemblies with the speakers and the MCAs. And he also said that people are not being paid. I can tell you, at least in Kiambu, I know they got between 80,000 and some 100,000 shillings.
You know this for a fact?
For a fact.
By who?
For a fact.
By who?
For a fact.
By who?
Including photos.
By who?
I can show you.
By who?
You
know, it's good to be factual.
There are counties,
there
are counties where they were getting some 100, some 200, those that are not very many in the county assemblies. And really, what I was telling you to ask yourself, go to your village, Jeff, in Kiambu.
Kiamba.
In Kiamba constituency. Ask your local MCA how many BBI rallies he's managed to do in his own ward. Ask the residents there how supportive they are of BBI. Therefore, if there's bravado that you find, it is with this team, the BBI Handshake team. And this bravado is not about things that are gainful to the public. And to a large extent, I identify with what I have seen the Linda Kenya campaign team say. That BBI is sold as something that is beneficial to Kenyans, but largely it is beneficial to us politicians. And I tell my people, for me as a politician, it's a very good document for me. I stand the opportunity, if re-elected as Member of Parliament in Kikuyu, probably to become a Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, or even a Cabinet Secretary with BBI. But the burden that this document will bestow on Kenyans with a double, triple-decker parliament is enormous. I'm telling you, we were just discussing when we were off air the issues to do with CDF. We are telling people that, oh, your constituency will get an additional 100 million shillings. Kikuyu constituency, for instance, is not due to be split. I will not get an extra 100 million shillings. The base for CDF is in the CDF Act, and I'll tell you it's 2.5% minimum of our revenues. This year, you've seen the issues we have right now with CDF.
Today was announced.
Including arrears. An announcement for 2 billion shillings a week. That is to try and catch up with the disbursements for this 2021 financial year. I'm the one who did the last budget, remember, before I got fired. We had about 39.6 billion shillings for CDF. Today, they've not done anything more than 10 billion shillings for this financial year. And the fight that you have seen with CDF is because they argue that part of what has been disbursed this year that related to arrears for the last financial years. And remember, CDF has a fund that you don't close at the end of the financial year, just like the county revenue accounts, that you don't close their money for the last financial year. If not disbursed, you must disburse. The arrears about 18 billion shillings. We are here to get that. But the point is, the base basically remains the same. If you had 39 billion shillings that you're sharing out between 290 constituencies to get about 137 or 130 million shillings per constituency. If you increase those constituencies to 70, it means by 70 to 360, it means each constituency then will get less than what they are getting. And those are things that you cannot argue about. They're there. Unless we go back then and change to make sure that the incremental constituencies also will commensurate with an increment in CDF allocations. The same fallacy you find in the deceit I'm talking about. This financial year, Jeff, I can tell you, we have about 27.2% going to the counties based on revenues of 1.357 trillion, of which financial year? 2014-2015. We have approved accounts for 15-16. No, it's 15-16 actually, because we have approved accounts for 16-17 that are you still in PAC? I think he's still in PAC. They have approved up to 16-17. 17-18 is what they are doing. But we are basing it on the 15-16 financial year at 1.3 trillion, because that will give a relatively higher percentage of about 27.2%. If you move to the most recently audited and approved accounts of 16-17, that figure will drop to about 19-20%. We have just approved the BPS for this coming financial year beginning 2021-2022. Still at about 27%.
All right,
if we were genuine and if we were truthful about 35%, we would have started it this year.
Okay.
You see, Jeff, first, I don't agree with him. The issue that he's saying, they have not campaigned at the county assembly levels whether to pass this document or not. I think my brother here was out of the country maybe, or he was not interested to know what's happening. The number of delegations that went to Karen, the official residence of
for MCS?
Yes, from Samburu, from Samburu, from Kajiado, from Mandera. I'm telling you, we have the pictures. He has been meeting him. Give me time, guys. You know, I've been very quiet when you are putting your case out. Let me say something. The number of county assemblies that have visited that house called Karen, the Hasla Mansion, is unimaginable. Delegations after delegations, from this county to that, from Kisii County, from Mandera County. Mandera County, all the MCAs were there. I saw them with my own eyes like this, and nothing. They were just discussing not to pass BBI, nothing else. What are you meeting over MCAs at a time when they're supposed to discuss a document? Secondly, the issue of the constituency, I think my brother is getting it wrong. It's not only about CDF, it's about representation. There are constituencies here in, for example, Mount Kenya area, which has a high number of people, 265, 300,000 people registered voters. So it is about equitable representation, that every vote counts and every person is represented in parliament equitably. That's what we are trying to address in the BBI. It's not the 100 million only. The 100 million is a bonus for that constituency. But having proper representation in parliament is more important than ever. Why should we have a constituency which has, let's say, registered voters of 20,000 people represented, and a constituency which has 265,000 registered voters represented by one person each? It's not equitable. So that is the issues, historical issues that this thing is trying to address, but he's not getting it because him is comfortable because in the last delimitation of boundaries, his constituency was divided into two. It used to be Kabete and Kikuyu together, but now it's Kabete, and so he thinks so long as Kikuyu is not being divided, I don't mind this BBI not happening. But there are people in Kiharu who feel not being represented properly. There are people in Georgia. There are people in Ruiru who has 300,000 registered voters. You know, that MP is carrying a vote mandate equivalent to 5 constituencies. So those are the issues that we need to look at things objectively. Let me finish. Let me finish, my brother.
Don't forget the de facto leader.
No, that one is neither here nor there. You know, we are a team of like-minded leaders who have decided to come together to advance this agenda of BBI from KANU, ANC, ODM, Jubilee, So whoever goes ahead to, campaign for this document is welcome, whether he's the leader of KANU or whether he's the leader of, any party, Wiper. So it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is the senator is a party leader of KANU. And if there was bribery, I'm told, that happened in the country, it happened at the MCA level, it happened at Baringo, where members of county assemblies was bribed by UDA to make sure that they don't pass the document. That's the information that we have. But now what I'm saying, I'm not here to, I really want us to dwell on the document, not on the side shows. This document has many things that will advance this country and make it better. For example, we have been complaining, me and him, since we joined Parliament together, 2013, that you ask a question in Parliament, for example, people are killed in my constituency, for example, I want to ask a question, I will ask a chairman of a committee like him, the way he was a chairman of the budget committee. That chair will go and ask the Minister for Education, the Minister of Internal Security, why people were killed in my constituency. The minister will give him an answer. He will bring me the answer. If the answer is unsatisfactory, is not satisfactory, he will tell me, go and see the minister in his office. Me, I've given you the answer I was given. Now we want to have that minister in front of us in Parliament so that he can answer the questions directly or not. That is proper holding government now properly accountable. Is that not good for the country?
And if the minister is there, like they sometimes CSs appear in front of committees.
No, he's a member of Parliament now. He will be a member under the BBI. He will be sitting in the House with us. He's a member of Parliament. So he'll be answering questions. Inside. And he will be held accountable there. And instead of asking a chairman of a committee who's just a member of Parliament like you, who doesn't work in the executive, and when he gives you a satisfactory answer, you have no remedy. He will tell you, I will summon the CS to my committee next week, please appear there and come and ask him the questions. But now we'll have the executive inside the House, and they will be held accountable. There will be a Prime Minister there who will be answering questions on behalf of government, who will be giving government position on issues. That is the kind of democracy we want to have in this country.
Okay. Jeff, very good example Junet has given on representation. Wundanye constituency, I think represented by Honorable Dan Mashako, he tells me he was elected by about 16,000 voters in 2017. 25,000 voters, total registered number of voters. Kikuyu constituency has close to 100,000, about 97,000 registered voters. Call it 100,000, same with Kabete constituency. Ruiru has 180,000 registered voters. If it is about representation, Jeff, I would easily give the member of parliament for Wundanyi his one vote and decide the quota is 25,000 registered voters, population quotas, either of registered voters or actual population. And we can achieve that. And we decide Junet Mohammed, who has 50,000 registered voters in Suna East, then has 2 votes. That is proper representation.
And you can, in Kikuyu?
You can do it. Me, I will have 4 votes with 100,000 votes.
No. That's called collegial system of voting. That's not House of Representatives.
Let me finish. Yeah. Number 2, the same with resources. We could decide today, Jeff, because in fact the burden is not even more so in the 70 additional constituencies. The nominated members to top up the 2/3 gender rule. Over 100, 120, possibly to about 130. No. Work out the maths.
No.
If you are even to consider that Senate is part of Parliament, and you take the 2/3 of Senate, because there are only 47 women in the Senate. You are removing the 47 elected women in the National Assembly. Remember that. Yeah? Yep. You have reduced the number of nominated members of Parliament, where you could probably nominate the 12 that were there for disability and what. So you'll end up
nominating, still there.
Nominating
6 of them.
6 disability, which you could still assume you even nominate those as women. The 6 positions, disability, even youth. You will still end up nominating not less than 87 new members of Parliament. Therefore, you have a very...
How do you figure that?
Simple maths. Take the 360 elected member constituencies, 360, take plus 94 in Senate. That's 454.
Correct.
Plus nominated 6. Plus 6 nominated.
That's 450.
460.
460 rather.
460. Divide that by 3. You need 153. Yeah?
Yeah.
Out of the 153, you have 47 in Senate. Yeah?
Yeah.
Assume the 6 nominated, you all nominate women. Plus?
106 minus 6, 100.
100. Nominated. Yeah? So if you are to nominate an extra 100 people, what burden are you putting on Kenyans? Why then do we need to, if we were bold enough, Jeff, and this is the deceit I see in this document, Jeff, we should have been able to look at the 2/3 gender rule on elective positions and ask ourselves as a country. There's no other country in the world that I've seen with this kind of 2/3 gender rule. And I know it would have been difficult with the issues with our gender activists. But it's something that we need to sit down and look into and ask ourselves. whether it is possible to have a country with close to 600 members of parliament. Knowing parliament, Junet was just telling you our 5 million shillings car grant, which is being proposed now, as he says, to maybe to be up to 10 million shillings. I hope you'll do that before we pass BBI. You pass BBI and we also benefit, because you pass it, I also benefit. But
let me interject there. You see, first, I think Ishungu has not read the BBI document. He's just opposing it for the sake of it. You see, the BBI document is proposing something I could say will definitely make this country achieve the two-third gender parity. In the sense that, first, it has gone further that at the nomination level at the parties, there is a clause that says parties must produce in their elective positions a list that is gender balanced. So out of the 290 constituencies that you are nominating for people to contest in your party, it must have 1/3 women or 1/3 men. If you want to have 2/3 women and 1/3, it's up to you. But it must be gender so at the nomination level of parties. So at UDA, when they're going to present to IBC a list of 290 constituencies, it must have 1/3 of women in certain constituencies at that level. Secondly, they don't want.
How do you determine that?
No, it is the party. It is the party to achieve that. It is the party to. The party must. Your party must believe in women. Your party must produce women candidates. My brother,
how will ODM force people in Migori County?
We will do it
to nominate.
Don't worry, we will give
during
to IBC,
your party nominations to nominate a woman and not you.
That is now you can discuss that at UDA.
No, I'm asking about ODM.
No, ODM they know how to do it. They will do it.
But you haven't achieved this thus far.
Now it's a requirement by law. So you have to do it in the next election. Secondly, let me not lose my thoughts. Secondly, you know, they are used to nominating women just like that. You know, the BBI is saying nomination will be of women will be based on will be chosen from women who have contested. Let's say a woman ran in Kikuyu constituency, he became #1, he defeated her, she's #2, she's the one who's qualified to be nominated. The era of nominating, you know, women who are not girlfriends for it, you know, the way he's saying is over through the BBI. Women who are serious politicians are the ones who will be taken to parliament. Women who have shown interest in politics. Women who have ran in an elective position, who have lost by any chance, are the ones who will be given an opportunity to be nominated in parliament.
And if none was contesting it, there was no.
No, they will be. No, already we have covered that in the nomination list to IBC. So there will be enough women to choose from that list. So if there is a document that is really concerned or wants to make sure that this country achieves the two-third gender parity that has been elusive for the longest period of time, is the BBI.
Okay, before I go to the magic wall.
And lastly,
yes,
I want to advise him. Tomorrow I'll deliver a copy of the BBI document to his office. That's a promise I'm giving him.
Hard copy.
Hard copy. I may take it myself, actually.
Junet.
Let him read that document.
Junet.
From page 1 to the last page. And I can guarantee you will be converted.
You're telling the former chairman of
the former chairman of the budget,
yes,
the director of elections of UDA. Yeah. I am assuring you.
You know, Junet thinks since he's the director of elections in ODM, yes. I'm still a member of Jubilee for the time being.
Okay.
For the time being.
Okay.
Until 2022. But I was saying, you just need to listen to Junet and see how convoluted that document is in terms of how practical, especially the election around the two-thirds gender rule will be. And that tells you the burden that we bestow on Kenyans out of this document, Jeff, is enormous. And I was telling you the deceitful nature of this document. If you truly believe in the 35%, Jeff, that's what I was asking, why are we not being able to do it in the next financial year?
I'll tell you why.
And I can tell you, Jeff, because he knows, and he was telling you during the break, because he knows I've been chairman budget. This country is dead broke. Dead broke. This country is dead broke. Yeah. That is why we are not getting money for our counties.
No, that's, you know, whether the country is broke.
That is why we are not getting money for CDF. Number two,
whether
Jeff,
the country
ask yourself, let me finish. Okay. I give you time to finish. The convoluted nature of the elections around the two-thirds gender rule, Jeff. All these things we are trying to please everybody at the same time, Jeff, is because first we began this document on anchored on deceit. And anything that's anchored on deceit is on quicksand, not on solid rock. We began by telling Kenyans this document had nothing to do with positions. Kenyans today know this document has everything to do with political positions. Everything.
Which is okay.
All the other things are sugarcoating the document to enable the political class get what they want. The political class, we are getting what we want. That's why I told you, for instance, the issues he was raising about members of parliament being cabinet secretaries is a very good thing for me and Junat. If the Hustler Nation and us and when the Hustler Nation forms the next government in 2022, I stand the opportunity of being a cabinet secretary or a prime minister or a deputy prime minister.
Okay.
But what does that do to the person who votes for me in Kikuyu, the person who votes in Kiambaa constituency, the person who votes in Migori? What burden are we putting on that Kenyan?
He really wants to be a cabinet secretary.
Yeah, I know. And he's the minister for finance for Tanga, I know.
Next government.
Yeah, next government, but it will not happen.
Next government.
God willing. So, let me tell you something. You know, he's talking about the 35% that the BBI is increasing from the 15, current 15. First, currently the Constitution says a minimum of 15%. So, it is at the pleasure of the person who's in charge of the purse of the country to give you either 20%, 27%, 5%, 16%, whatever you think, minimum 15. Now we are putting in the Constitution, let me say something, now we are putting in the Constitution through BBI a minimum of 35%. So you can go higher, not lower than 35%. First, that takes a lot of money to the villages, to the counties. And that is the money that is being kept here in Nairobi, that is being used here. So if we take a lot of resources to the counties, I can guarantee you the lives of Kenyans will change, for sure. Because if you look at the little, now the 15, 16, 20% that the government is giving to Kenyans, the kind of work it has done at Migori, in Kiambu, everywhere, I can tell you 35% will do a better job. As to whether the country is broke or not, I cannot listen to Shungwa. He was former chairman of budget. I cannot listen to the Minister for Treasury. He's the only one who can tell us whether the country is broke or not. Him is just, he has, just let me finish. Lastly, he's saying we are creating position for men, and women, just for the big men here. I know of his party, from his Tanga. They are even approaching people in ODM, promising them, we can make you prime minister, we can make you deputy prime minister. I'm telling you,
come on.
They are negotiating on a document they are opposing. Take it. I'm telling you the truth.
You know, Jeff.
They are telling us when I get out of the handshake, we can give you prime minister. But
I don't know why you allow. I don't know why you allow such cheap propaganda.
Don't get annoyed. Don't get annoyed.
It's so cheap.
No, it's good to let the back out of the cat sometimes.
So cheap propaganda. If we were to hunt for minister,
no, let me finish.
Of course you will not get cows.
Let me finish.
People who have confessed to be cows.
Let me finish.
But he said you have approached them.
It might not be him.
Who? Not you.
It might not be him. You know, he's a small man.
But let me just take you back to the debate on something else.
Let me finish. Now, if you want to know who are the people who are deceitful, because he has repeated here that this deceit, the document is based on deceit. I think the people who are deceitful are the people who are negotiating with other parties based on positions on a document that they are opposing. They are telling you, we can join hands, we can give you prime minister. I'm telling them, let's pass the document first. Then when the positions are there, then we can agree.
Not even with a response. Too cheap propaganda from someone who has confessed to be a cow.
Why?
No, you see, let me take you back to the issue.
You know, he's saying I'm a cow.
He says you're a cow.
Yeah, I told them in Parliament that if you don't support your party, if you don't support your party leader, the way we are supporting our party leader...
Jeff, can we not argue about the cow because it's on Hansard?
You know, if I'm a cow, then he's a sheep. Because he's following William Ruto like a sheep. What's the difference? He's just coming to tell us what William Ruto wants.
I have never
He's not speaking his mind.
You're all domestic animals.
Yeah, these are all mammals who are just been domesticated.
I never said anything to do with sheep, but he confessed that he's a cow. So I was saying the 35%, Jeff. And Junet is at pains to try and enumerate how that will work, Jeff. He just said the current constitution talks of a minimum of 15%, and therefore confirms nothing stops government today from giving 35% of the last audited accounts. Even of that 1.357 trillion, nothing stops government. He said it is usually at the pleasure of the person leading government. His party mate, the Honorable Professor Dr. Nyekal, described for us in Parliament in one of the committees recently that government is the president and the people the president listens to. If government is the president and the people is listening to an ODM, is then Junet telling us that the president, who is a co-principal of BBI, is unwilling to give 35% to the counties? If that is what you're telling us,
can I answer
then that tells you the kind of deceit.
Can I answer that? Why he's not listening? Why he's not listening?
Not in ODM,
he's forgetting. The budget-making process in this country, as enshrined in the Constitution, is in Parliament. And he was the chairman of for 6 years, or I don't know, 5 years. I think minimum 4 years. Okay, let's say since we came back to this Parliament 2017, he's been the chairman of the Budget Committee until recently when he was removed. It is him who should have given counties 35%, not even the president, because the sharing of the resources of this country is done in the National Assembly.
Very good.
It is him.
Very good.
Now he's indicting himself that I could not manage to give the counties more money, and he was the chairman. You know why? That time he was a cow of Jubilee. He was just clapping for what Jubilee was.
Can I then defend myself?
Now is when he's gotten back his senses. Now he's back to his senses.
Let me defend
I have to go to the magic wall.
Let me, because that was...
You were chairman.
I was chairman.
You were the chairman.
I was chairman.
Yeah.
Junet is seated here. He's now minority whip supporting this government. Junet Mohammed can tell you, before any budget, and I have said it even on this station again, I think on this show, before any budget is tabled in Parliament, tabling, not even discussed, is usually approved in a cabinet meeting chaired by none other than the President of the Republic. When it comes to Parliament, he knows the latitude Parliament has.
What latitude?
And he knows what they can change.
He knows, what he's telling us?
He knows the position.
You know what he's telling you?
He knows the position.
He has abdicated his constitutional powers to the president. That's what he's telling you.
Parliament has
As the chairman of the Budget Committee, he has abdicated his constitutional powers to the executive.
Tell him no, because he believes in the 35%.
Make me the chairman of the Budget Committee.
To change, no, you are whip.
No, make me the chair.
Let him whip ODM members.
Okay.
To sponsor an amendment, the chairman of the ODM party is a ranking member in the budget.
Can I read some tweets,
to change the 35% to 27%.
How do Buida says, Jeff, ask Junet and Kimani, do you envisage in the future His Excellency Raila, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto forming a coalition? Raila-Ruto coalition.
You see, it depends on the options that are available. I don't know why the man is narrowing us down to one option. There are many options.
So you're open?
We are open. Many options, but not only about Ruto and Raila. There are many other options politically. We have many other options.
Do you see that?
In the future?
Yes.
Nobody knows anything about the future, but I would truly pray it doesn't happen.
Wow. Sammy Nthiga, my question to Junet, since people will keep increasing in population, shall we keep increasing the number of constituencies? Good point.
You see, if you look at mature democracies, like the US, there are constituencies that exist in one term of parliament and they don't exist in the next term of parliament. Why? Because populations have moved from one place to another, and that constituency is scrapped and they add another constituency in another county. So we need to come up with that kind of scenario in our next constitutional dispensation. That is the kind of alternative suggestions and opinions we wanted Tanga to give us, not to oppose the document for the sake of it. So it doesn't mean that you have to increase the number of constituencies. You can change the law and say that we cap the number of people who are supposed to be in one constituency. If they exceed that number and the other constituency goes down, then we scrap this constituency. Even now, I remember his argument on Wundai. You know, Jeff, in the current constitution, there are a certain number of constituencies that were supposed to be scrapped in the coming election because they were protected constituencies. But what is BBI doing? It is protecting constituencies even that were protected. For example,
that's not true.
It's true.
That's
for example,
the Constitution talks about delimitation of boundaries by
exactly
IEBC.
what that
if Wundanyi has not met the threshold, you get maybe a ward or two villages from the neighboring constituencies to link up. If Kikuyu and Kabete Limuru, for instance, Limuru has less voters and lower population than Kikuyu and Kabete, I can get probably in the part of Kikuyu.
You just section it out.
Section it out.
But I'm asking you a question.
And meet the threshold. I think the question, the person is asking a very genuine question.
Let me ask you a question.
And Junet is
if Odaya, for example, was a protected constituency,
right,
and the next neighboring constituency only meets the threshold required, What will you remove from there? You have to scrap that other constituency and join it here.
Jeff,
what happens to nomadic communities?
That is the problem. So you have to balance.
It touches Madera,
now,
that is overpopulated.
What is BBI doing? It's protecting, or it is constitutionalizing all protected constituencies.
Okay.
That is a deceit, Jeff.
No, it's not.
We are talking about
It's
because
not.
the constitution is clear.
It's
290 constituencies, you can't reduce them.
Kimani Ichung'wah was the chairman of the Budget Appropriation Committee of Parliament for Jubilee government for long. Basically, he allocated all the monies to all ministries and the national debt grew under him. But here he is condemning government borrowing. How hypocritical.
You know, Jeff, probably because being too outspoken, Kenyans, including Junet, assumes I've been chairman budget for donkey years. I was only chairman budget for 2 years, by the way. And during that time, I can tell you, and records speak for themselves, and that's why the accolades you had Junet pour on me in Parliament, because I was very forthright in what I said. The question of public debt, Jeff, remember, we started speaking about it in Parliament when I became chair, because I ensured that right from my first supplementary budget in 2017, I raised the issue of the realism of our revenue and debt sustainability and debt. Let me finish. I don't know, and debt serviceability. I raised those issues. We started talking about fiscal consolidation and reducing our fiscal deficit right from 2017. That consistency, that speaking truth to power. Power that doesn't want to hear truth. I have told you those budgets are approved by none other than President Uhuru Kenyatta, chairing cabinet. Brought to Parliament, Junet Mohammed, because ODM says you must do this.
No, I agree with him.
Whatever he says.
That he was a chairman for 2 years,
only,
but he handled 3 budgets. In a cycle of one Parliament, there are 5 budgets. So 3 budgets were done by him as the chair. 3. So you look at the kind
18, 19, 19, 20, and 2021, including this year.
Present one.
Even the present one is his budget.
And look at
which is not balanced.
Look at how much money was borrowed from that time comparatively.
Wayaki Ngangu says, tell Junet Mohammed what we consider real representation is when MPs are able to execute their legislative roles effectively and not having a representative for every 100 Kenyans. Our MPs currently are so many, some have never uttered a word in Parliament.
This one has insulted people in Parliament. He has never sponsored a single bill in Parliament that saw the light of day.
You see,
in 8 years that we've been together.
You know, at least I have not mismanaged the budget. I have not increased the debt. I have not increased the debt.
Again, Moses.
You just don't get away from getting into your head that budgets belong to the executive. It's an executive tool.
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is. Parliament has a lot of power.
A guy, Moses, says he's following the debate, or she's following the debate. In Embu, for the first time, I'm seeing MPs from different political parties differ soberly and respectfully. Our politicians need to learn from them. Kudos, Junet and Ichung'wah.
Only that I've taught him over the years.
By the way, Babu Owino, your colleague Babu, sent me a message earlier on. He says, tell Ichung'wah, this is not KCPE. We don't want a multiple choice referendum.
Jeff, do you honestly want me to respond to Babu Owino?
Yeah, why not?
Me? Respond to Babu Owino?
Why?
Look for a university student.
No, he's a member of Parliament like you. He was elected by people.
He's your colleague.
He's your colleague.
Power.
Yeah, that's how he cut his leadership skills.
You can answer him.
No, that's how he cut his leadership skills.
I can't answer.
No, I'll tell him. I'll answer him.
They are members of Parliament.
I'll tell him that I agree with him. We don't need multiple choice questions. We don't need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts. Mheshimiwa, you go first.
I will maintain my position on BBI to begin with. It's anchored on deceit. It's not beneficial to the larger Kenyan population. It's beneficial to us politicians, very good for us politicians. It will be a huge burden to Kenyans. And Kenyans must be allowed to exercise their rights without intimidation, without being coerced in any way, not the way we've seen by-elections being conducted. And we must, in very strong terms, Jeff, condemn the kind of violence. I have said it is a precursor to a dangerous trend that we are setting out. And I say this, and I challenge the IG. IG, please take charge of the police service. We engage with all these junior officers down on the ground. In fact, most of the things I can tell you from what I saw in Msambweni, most of the information that we got on the violence that had been planned came from very junior officers in the police service, who are very patriotic Kenyans who do not want this country going to a base. We saw it in Nakuru, people being asked to tear gas, and officers are telling the members of parliament who are there, please relax, we're not going to do this. We are being asked to do wrong things. And therefore, we must allow our police service, Jeff, not to be misused. There was a reason why the National Police Service changed from the Kenya Police Force to a National Police Service. It was supposed to serve Kenyans equitably, fairly. If we allow the police service to be misused, to go and make sure that ODM does not get a seat in Matungu, for instance, or UDA does not get a seat in Kabuchai, Matungu, or in a London ward in Nakuru, then we are trending on a very dangerous path. Okay. That is the path we walked prior to the 2007, 2008 post-election violence. We made Kenyans lose faith in our security forces. Let us not allow Kenyans once again to lose faith in our security forces. Let us keep them out of politics. Lastly, I agreed partly with what Junet said over the weekend. People should also allow Kenyans the free will to choose whoever they want to elect as their president in 2022. Let nobody think he will manage Kenyans. He will dictate to Kenyans who they will elect.
All right. Mheshimiwa, you get the last word.
Yeah, I think I will begin from where he has ended, that I agree with him that we have no place for violence, political violence in this country, and I condemn it to the strongest terms possible. Our elections must be as peaceful as it can be, and the police must be accountable to the people of Kenya and make sure that peace prevails in our elections all the time, whether they are by-elections, general elections. Secondly, I want to urge Kenyans to vote, to read the BBI document. It is coming to them now. It has gone through the first phase of the county assemblies. Now it is in the National Assembly and Senate. Most likely we'll pass it, and we will come for we will bring to them in a form of a referendum. I urge them to read the document. This document belongs to them. This document is supposed to improve their lives and make their lives better. And I hope they will vote for it as it has been done by the county assemblies. But likewise, I want to tell my colleagues, the political side where Honorable Ishungwa belongs, stop sitting on the fence. Take a position. You have taken as a position as an individual, but let your party and your brigade take a position. You either support the BBI or you oppose the BBI. You have sat on that fence for too long. I'm sure now your buttocks must be boiling. Please, take a position. Make sure you either support it or you oppose it. You can no longer sit on the same fence, because your followers expect leadership from you people. You need to guide them. You need to tell them whether to oppose this thing or to support. But it's in the interest of the country that you tell them to support. But if you strongly feel, as you said here, that this document has nothing for Kenyans, please tell your leader to lead his people, his troops, and tell them that this document is not good, they should oppose it. But I'm sure Kenyans will pass this document, because what happened in the county assemblies is just a precursor of what is going to happen in the referendum. It's going to be a whitewash. It's going to be resoundingly voted for. So I urge Kenyans that let's remain peaceful, let's remain united, and let's be together as a country, as implicit in the handshake between His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister. The kind of leadership they have shown this country for the last 3 years should be an example to all of us, that as Kenyans we can live together in harmony, in peace, and conduct elections in a peaceful manner, and we live as Kenyans as one in one country. Thank you.
Jeff, the cash cow that is BBI can only be milked through the referendum if there is a strong, credible opposition. That is why you see them very desperate.
There's a reason why you had the last word.
Trying to get people to oppose it.
We are not trying to persuade them to oppose. In fact, if he supports the BBI, I will be very happy, because by document they pass unanimously. But you see, what I don't like is the hypocrisy of sitting on the fence. On one side of the mouth you are opposing. On one side of the mouth you can't tell Kenyans.
We are busy empowering the hustler nation.
What is it? You are giving people wheelbarrows.
We're too busy.
You are empowering people with wheelbarrows. Wheelbarrows.
JKLive.
Wheelbarrows.
Bottom-up approach.
Bring motorcycle. Bring cars, man. Bring cars.
It's powered by Johnny Walker.
You can't give oranges.
Exhibiting its eminence.
At least orange can quench your thirst, man.
Give oranges or go shake hands.
Don't bring wheelbarrow to Migori, by the way.
Scotch excellence.
It's getting hot at the end.
All right. Have you finished?
No, you see.
Oh, can I-
No,
no.
by the way, why do people have a problem with wheelbarrows?
Gentlemen,
It's a
gentlemen, you can
symbol-
come
it's a
back for
symbol
another
of what?
conversation.
No,
They
it's
can't
a-
give oranges.
I have to go.
It's a demeaning way.
I have to go. Switch off their
It
mics.
is demeaning Kenyans to give them wheelbarrows for sure.
We empower
I'm telling
Kenyans,
you,
showing them the dignity of what?
Gentlemen, gentlemen.
Greetings.
All right. Jeff Koinange Live is powered by Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker exhibiting its eminence in electrifying quality. Celebrating 200 years of blended Scotch excellence. Goodness. Thank you so much for joining us. They're going to be talking all the way, so, you know, let's leave them talking, all right? Thanks. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Good night, good luck. God bless this country of ours. Kenya, don't be in a hurry. We have to take a picture.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we'll see.
JKLive.